Hey everybody, welcome back to the Corvette Genius channel. Today we're going to talk about a cooling system reservoir that on C4 Corvettes always needs attention. These tanks help add coolant capacity to your coolant radiator system, and because of the position these are in, which is the lowest point of the entire cooling system, the contamination that occurs over time inside the engine and radiator and cooling system all accumulates right down here in this reservoir tank. You can call it an overflow tank, you can call it a reservoir tank, but what happens is over time, just through the natural corrosion process that happens inside the engine, the coolant is going to get dirty. And sometimes we would just call it rusty, because that's in essence what's happening. This tank up here can also have corrosion build up in it. The overflow, or the radiator cap itself oftentimes will be very dirty on the bottom. But today we're just going to talk about this tank itself. And because it's the lowest point of the system, it always gets the dirtiest because the rust in that rusty antifreeze is heavier, and so it will sink down here to the bottom. By shining this light down here, you can see there's a buildup inside this plastic reservoir. And if I put the light here, I can show you just a little bit. Okay, that's pretty common. It's ugly, it's yucky, but it's common. And so what we're going to do is remove this tank and clean this out, flush it, get all the rust and corrosion out of it. That way, when the cooling system is flushed and refilled, we won't be contaminating the coolant with the corrosion that's in here. To remove this, it's very simple. You've got 2 bolts here and one more down inside the fender well here. Those all take a 10mm socket. And on the front here, you can't quite see it, but down on the front there is a hose clamp that takes a 1/4-inch socket as well. And so with those items removed, this tank is going to come right out, and we're going to clean it in the sink. It's not that difficult, but almost every time I see one of these cars, whether it's at a car show or wherever it is, this tank is always nasty. And this one isn't as bad as many that I've seen, that the whole top will just be completely covered with rust. So we're going to remove this and clean it out. We'll be right back. Okay, we've got our 3 bolts out. They're all the same, so you don't need to remember which one goes in which spot. We've got our hose clamp off here, and after you loosen this clamp, you just pull down, and you want to be careful. This is just an aluminum tube, so it can be a little fragile, so hold with one hand here and push down on this tank, and it's going to come right out. Now you can see a little better. Let me set it right here. You can kind of see some of the rust and yuck that's in there. So it's not the end of the world. It's pretty common for them to be kind of gross inside. But we're going to get rid of and clean all of this mud and rust out of this tank. Okay, we're over here at the scrub sink, and I'm going to do the first pour out and show you what we're trying to get rid of here. Nasty, right? Well, don't feel bad, because I guarantee you, unless you've done this procedure to your C4 Corvette, it looks just this bad or worse. Let's start with a flush. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty gross, but no problem. We're going to solve it. We're going to get all that crap cleaned out of the reservoir, and we're going to be good to go. Is it okay to put down the sink drain? Where I live, yes, it is. This is how they tell us to dispose of antifreeze. It's treated at the storm water center, so you can't put oil or anything like that down here, but old antifreeze is perfectly fine for disposing of through the sink. I'm going to do my first brush out of this tank, and we're going to use a couple tools, just common scrubbers. Toilet bowl scrubber works good. Another one I like to use is this long-handled guy. He can get in there and do a lot of, basically you just want to scrub every inch of the inside of this. So I'll do that, and we'll see how our first pass goes. You literally can see as this brush goes up inside of here, it's already removing a lot of this contamination. It's usually not on there like super tight. It just needs to be agitated and scrubbed to get rid of it all. We'll use some of it we can reach with this straight brush. That's where this one with the curve on it comes in handy, because we can bend it up and get up around the edges that you can't get to with this fixed handled brush. First scrub. And you can see we've still got more to go. It's hardest to get up in these corners because you've got to bend the brush. You have to bend the brush to make the angle to get up here and clean it. But that's what this flexible brush is for. We are getting there. Look at the progress we've made already. When you look inside there, we still got a few stains. That's where the next step comes in. And we're going to add a little bit of our favorite cleaner for a piece of plastic like this. God bless Walmart and their toilet bowl bleach cleaner. We're going to give this a nice little squirt of bleach gel. If it'll clean a toilet, I'm sure it will clean this plastic tank. So we're going to swirl that around. We're going to let it work its magic for a couple minutes. And then we're going to come back in again with our brush. And we're going to keep bending this brush at different angles so we can get, you can see how you can move it to all the different positions inside that tank. Because by itself, nothing is going to just eat that rust off of there. You've got to physically scrub it off. The bleach gel that we put in there is going to help clean it. So we're going to let that work and see if we're done after our next rinse out. Okay, we are making great progress. The last thing we need to talk about is this little neck tube where the coolant passes from this reservoir back up to the cooling system. This right here is what we took the hose clamp off of. I have seen these plugged completely solid, and these have to be open for the coolant to pass back and forth when the car gets hot and when it cools off. Fortunately, this one is open, but if it's plugged, and I'm still going to use one of my favorite little cleaning tips, these long necked swabs, Q-tips. We're just going to run this down in here and make sure that tube doesn't have any of that rust and corrosion left build up in there. And it wasn't bad, but we got a little bit off, and that's what we want. You want that nice and clean. Inside of here is a brass fitting, a little brass nipple, and that is inside of there so that when you tighten down the hose clamp on this, you don't tighten it too tight and crush it and ruin the plastic. So there's a little bit of discoloration on the outside of here. There's nothing you can do about that, but let's make sure we get this flushed real good. Now look how clean we are. We've still got probably another rinse or two. We've got a little bit of the bleach solution, but look down inside of there. This thing is just almost like brand new. I've got a little tiny bit left in this corner. My OCD won't let me leave that there, so I'm going to go back and get that. And there's a little stain on the bottom yet, but all in all, look at that tank, guys. That is about as clean as you can get without buying a new one. So let me finish my last little rinse. Will you look at it? That's a beaut. She's a beaut. I want to tell you. Nice and clean, inside and outside. Now you'll be able to actually see your hot and cold full lines, and that's about as good as you can get it. I'm going to put it back in. While you've got that tank out, you've got to clean this nasty area too, because there's no way to clean underneath of that. And so you've cleaned and washed and polished, but you've never gotten this area. So we're going to take a minute and get this all scrubbed and washed out before we put our tank back in. Ah, that is so much better. I just can't put a clean part back on and leave the surface underneath of it dirty. So we've got a little more detailed work to do around here. We haven't even touched cleaning the frame or any of that stuff, but that's really not the focus of this video, which was let's get this tank cleaned, get all the corrosion out of it, and we're going to put it back in the car and have nice clean antifreeze going back and forth in and out of this reservoir. And just like that, this little project is completed. You can see down in there that beautiful green antifreeze, the way God intended it. Not this purple and pink and yellow and red crap that they have in all the new cars. Good old green. But it's nice and clean. You can see down on the side the cold and hot marks. It's not full of rust and crust, and it's just plain beautiful. If you've got a C4, I guarantee your tank will have this amount of rust and corrosion or more, because I've seen them much worse than this. So easy job that anybody can do at home, right in your driveway. It'll make your car cool better. It will get rid of the rust in the cooling system that has settled down into the bottom of this reservoir, and you can get everything cleaned up while you're at it at the same time. So that's today's video. Thank you for watching. If you like Corvette repair and restoration videos, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and every time we post new content, you'll be updated. Please share this to your social media sites. If you've got friends with C4s, send them the link, and it will help them make their C4 Corvette even better. That's our video. I'm Brad Hillhouse, Corvette Genius Channel. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.